everybody, and welcome to round 3 of the Ray Esports Racing League presented by RaceVoice and Racer61. This week we head to Lexington, Ohio and the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Opened in 1962, Mid-Ohio was built right into the land, and according to its designer Les Griebling, the track was built with a singular goal: to be difficult. From the keyhole to the carousel, each challenging the driver with off-camber downhill turns to Turn 9's launching ramp into Thunder Valley. After watching tonight's races, I think you'll agree that Mr. Griebling's goal was accomplished. With Avery McDonald joining me in the announce booth and Apex Racing TV's Dennis Branch manning the controls, I'm Greg Ginsberg, and tonight we've got 2 great races on tap, Avery.
Yeah, we got the Pro Mazda and the Spec Racer Ford coming off a week off last week at Sonoma. It's great to see those cars back, but like you said, this track is tough. It don't matter what car you're in. There's so many places you can just overshoot a corner, and what makes that even more exciting, it means drivers have a better chance to make a mistake that allows people to get by them and make an overtake. So I've been really looking forward to this race since I got back from Daytona.
Yeah, and that's right, Avery. You were just down at Daytona for the 24 hours, and you've definitely got some good racing stories. Hopefully we'll hear some of them here tonight. But Mid-Ohio, lots of elevation change, but very tight running. The track is not very wide, and kind of owning to the fact that the track now is close to 50 years old here. Actually more than 50 years old, about 60 years old. So very, very narrow and with a lot of short straights, kind of like what we saw last week at Sonoma, but I think has a little bit more flow to it. But there's always something to challenge the driver, as Evan Rackison just found out here, making his way around course. Now we are running what many people refer to as the Pro Course, the 13-turn 2.25 mile course. That is the version without the chicane. As you just saw, drivers coming and making their way out of turn 1 all the way up to the keyhole. So that definitely opens up some opportunities, some passing opportunities for drivers than as opposed to if we were running that slightly shorter slightly longer 2.4 mile version with the chicane. So the drivers are going to have a little bit longer run down into the keyhole, which is that off camber downhill sweep. But you definitely have the opportunity, if you got the handling for it, to come in and sneak right underneath people going into that complex. But this course is definitely a challenge, as we have just about 3 minutes left to go in this 15-minute qualifying session. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, I want to remind everybody that we are running, as Avery mentioned, 2 races tonight. The first is going to be the Pro Mazdas. We'll have the Spec Racer Fords up second. Each of our 2 groups, they get an 80-minute practice, then a 15-minute qualifying session, as our Pro Mazdas are out doing right now, and then a 20-minute race. Each race, you get 1 fast repair, and obviously the goal here is to stay clean, which at Mid-Ohio is somewhat difficult. If you have up to 12 incident points accrued, you do get a drive-through penalty. If you have 20 incident points accrued or more, you will get disqualified. So the drivers always want to make sure that. Now, we do have 3 different classes in the Ray Esports Racing League. We saw the MX5 Cup cars out last week at Sonoma. We also saw them the very first week at Road Atlanta. So this will be their week off. They'll be joining us again next week when we go to Barber. Keep an eye on them. We'll during the break, we'll give you a rundown of how things finished up for them last week. Now, a week ago at Sonoma, there was the very first outing for the Pro Mazdas. Avery and Evan Rackison took the win. Pretty commanding win. He had it pretty much from the jump of the gun, with the green flag coming out. Dylan Christie finishing second, and Caleb Patry took the last step on the podium. A little bit of a mishmash here in points so far after 1 week, because Zach Burke, who finished 6th, actually got 3 bonus points. The way we run the point system here is we pay payout points for the top 20 finishers. We give 25 for the winner, 21 for second place, 18 for third, and then we go 17, 16, 15, and down from there back to 20th position. But we do also give out bonus points if you run a clean race. And if you have no incident points, you can get 3 points. If you have one incident, you get a single point. And Zach Burke had no incident points. He got those 3 bonus points, and so even though he finished 6th, Avery, he is sitting tied for 3rd in the order after 1 week.
Yeah, it just goes to show how driving clean is super important. Just think about it. Driving clean to get you 3 bonus points. That means you can like give up a couple spots and still get the same amount of points. So really good job by Zach. But this is a track that's going to be tough to get 0 incident points. Lots of places to go off track, and it's a tight track.
And we've been watching that through a good portion of qualifying here. I mean, this is a track. Yeah, we started off week 1 at Road Atlanta, and we talked about the track has great flow, lots of sweeping corners, and last week at Sonoma, lots of elevation change like Road Atlanta, with very short runs between the corners. But the thing about Mid-Ohio is that it is, while it has very good flow, it is a track that you can never really let your guard down. You can never really take a break. Your mind seems to always be working, because as soon as you complete one corner, you're going into the next here. Your hands are always moving, and you're always, and because of the way it works, and you're constantly going from left to right to left to right, you're always having to check your mirrors to see where the guy is behind you, because whereas he may not have attempted to move 5 seconds ago, he may be up at your door now.
Oh yeah, if you make a little bit of a mistake, someone's gonna be right at your door, and you always got to look at the mirrors. It's a tough track, but it's a fun track. I mean, when you go to a track like Mid-Ohio, it kind of gets you a little bit more excitement how difficult this track is.
All right, so we've got looks like qualifying now is just about complete. I think we've got maybe 1 car still out on track, as we actually 2 cars I think still out on track as we get ready to head to the front straight here and get ready for our first race of the evening. The drivers will be taking the green flag on the short straight, as you would imagine, right before turn 1. Although a lot of races here at Mid-Ohio, the organizations will have their race starts on the long back straight coming out of the keyhole, heading down towards turn 4 in China Beach, just because of how long that straightaway is. So let's go. We'll run down the starting order and get ourselves set up for race number 1, Avery.
Well, starting first is Daniel Sotilli, putting on just a 6/10 of a second, or 6,000ths of a second. I'm just not good with numbers. Miles Crabbe, look at that. We're gonna see this all night, Greg. All these cars are close in times. I mean, every car we do. But then we got Dylan Christie, who, like we said last week, had a really good run. Then Evan Rackison in 4th. Zach Burke, who we talked earlier with 0 incidents last week, in 5th. And then we got Andrew Abbott, Caleb Patrick, Jeff Miner, Tyler Campbell, and rounding out the top 10, Brandon Abbott.
All right, if we switch over to row 6, and Chad Griffith, he'll be starting 11th with Justin Huffman, who I know very well, drives a Formula Enterprises 2 out of the Washington, D.C. region. He'll start 12th. Stephen Ford will start 13th. Stephen Mioch will start 14th. Then we've got the Steve Ray in Ray eSports Racing. He will start 15th. Charles Vaccaro right beside him will start 16th. Brian McRae will start 17th with Graham Lawfed, noted Formula V driver, starting 18th. Then Aaron Botnick 19th, Don Manning 20th. Greg Brockway will start 21st with John Casey starting 22nd. Then we've got Russ Lundberg out of the Atlanta region. He'll start 23rd. Joaquin Effinger will start 24th. Then we've got Wayne Buttermore and Andrew Wozencroft starting 25th and 26th. Charles Bailey 27th. Sam Tully will start 28th. And I think that rounds out the field. We'll have to see. I don't see Bailey and Tully as having taken the grid. We'll have to check and see if they come alive. But we've got the field now making their way on a very short pace lap, Avery. They're coming down through the carousel right now. And they'll be taking the green as they exit the carousel, come onto that short front straight. And there we go. Green flag is in the air. Dan Satilli takes the lead for the moment, but has Dylan Christie side by side as they come through turn number 1 and start to make their way down to the keyhole. Christie now in the white number 22 car. He takes the run into the keyhole, keeps ahead of Satilli and Evan Rackison, last week's winner at Sonoma, followed by Miles Crabb, Zach Burke, and Caleb Patry. So Crabb dropping a number of positions back. Zach Burke in the number 13 car makes his way, grabs a position, gets around Crabb. Patry as well. Now as they come out of the keyhole and make their way down through the S's and through Madness the very first time, Caleb Patry moves himself up to 4th, Avery.
Yeah, Miles down 4 spots, and Caleb's up 3. Dylan Christie had just a beautiful start to take up to him to the front of the field, just about a half-second gap, so he's got to put the head down and pull away in this 20-minute sprint race. Take a look at Tyler Campbell here running side by side with, I believe that is one of the Abbott guys, Brandon.
Yep, that's Brandon. We've got Andrew Abbott and Brandon Abbott, who finished on actually Andrew, I believe, took the win at the 2019 National Championship runoffs in Formula V. Brandon finished in 3rd, so a lot of Formula Car racing experience there, and they're back with us here on the Ray Esports Spring Tour. And yeah, they have. It looks like they've got a great little battle going on with Tyler Campbell as we complete lap 1, make our way into lap number 2, heading up towards the keyhole for the second time. As Dylan Christie, who finished 2nd last week at Sonoma, cements a little bit of a gap there. He's about, I'd say, probably about 3.5 car lengths up on Dan Satilli, our 2nd place runner.
Yeah, real clean start for these Pro Mazda cars to here at Mid-Ohio. Caleb Patry, see just a little bit of a gap between him and Rackison, who's at 3rd. So just got to kind of put the head down and try to get in the tow and try to catch back up to the top 3.
Yeah, and whereas we saw at least there were a couple of places where the draft definitely came in handy at Sonoma. I think, here at Mid-Ohio, of course, you've got that long run out of the keyhole, downhill, down that long back straight towards turn 4. Where it can definitely help. But I would suspect that a lot of the drivers here with the setup that they're using, probably because of how twisty and turny Mid-Ohio is, they really have those cars geared more for downforce than they do for straight, for straightaway speed.
Yeah, that's what I would think. With all these tight corners, and yeah, you want to have some straight line speed, but if you can't get through the corner, if you're going to overshoot it every other time, then downforce is your friend.
Exactly, and it looks like the Abbotts in 7th and 8th have separated out just a little bit, but Tyler Campbell in the number 37 car, he's making up a little bit of ground here on Brandon Abbott. That is the battle for 8th position. Behind Campbell, we've got Jeff Miner and Chad Griffith just a little bit behind, and Stephen Ford, who made up a couple of positions here at the start of the race as well in the number 3 car.
Yeah, Steven really put on a good run in that number 3 car. Wants to get up in that top 10, but he's got to get around Griffith and then Miner to get there. Oh, Ford goes around. Same with Steven.
Yeah, it looks like Ford and Mayock in the number 95 car. They both went off at the top of the appropriately named Madness there, and lost the center of the field. Mayock now, as he goes and rejoins, is all the way back down in 22nd place, and Ford in 18th. So they've got a long way to go to get back up to that battle for the top 10. As our leaders now make their way past the start-finish line and through turn 1, still sitting at the top of the leaderboard is Dylan Christie. Started in 3rd place. He is your leader, as he's been since turn 1 on the very first lap, and you can see Dan Satilli in the number 112 car taking a little bit different entry than Christie going into the keyhole. A little bit tighter entry. Typically you'll find that a little more push on the end when you go that way, but didn't seem to lose a lot of ground. But they have started to separate themselves out just a little bit from Evan Rackison, who is currently sitting in 3rd. And sitting a little bit back behind, we're watching the battle for 4th. Just off the podium, we've got Caleb Patry, Zach Burke, and Miles Crabb. Crabb of course, had started up on the, I believe, in third. He is now sitting back in sixth, and that's a great little battle going on right off the podium.
Yeah, on board with Zach Burke. Patrick just put on a really nice move, but these guys are in good striking distance. But if you're in the top three, it's exactly what you want to see. The interval between third and fourth is now 3 seconds, so that those top three can kind of battle a little bit as this race goes on.
Yeah, without a doubt, Avery. If these three drivers continue to battle it out for fourth position, that gives our leaders a bit of a chance at a breakaway, and certainly the breathing room that Evan Rackison needs as he perhaps can wait another couple of laps before he starts to take the battle to Dan Satilli, as our leader starts to separate things out just a little bit. Let's jump back to that battle still as we're watching here with Evan Rackison, with Caleb Patry, not Rackison, Patry running in sixth with Crab and the two Abbotts as well, fairly close behind. Again, Patry finished third last week at Sonoma.
Yeah, Patry's showed a lot of speed in these Pro Mazda cars. He's shown it again today with that quickest time was a 1:19. Right where you want to be with these drivers. As you can tell, there's a group of three, and then there's this group of 4 cars right here. This battle, I mean, we've seen it since lap 1, and it's going to happen until we go to the final lap when we complete 20 minutes, and we're just 6.5 minutes into this 20-minute race.
Yeah, long way to go. But our top 3 runners have definitely started to stretch things out. I was going to say here, if we can jump back, maybe if we can jump back to the battle right behind. I think we've got Brandon Abbott, Campbell, and Jeff Miner. That's the battle for 8th. And you'll see that battle also very close, very tight.
Yeah, that's a great thing about this series, Greg. I mean, there's always somebody in a race, no matter your skill level. And like you have the battle for the top 3, and then you have a 4. Then there's 3 cars, and there's some more cars behind them that are battling. So you can't get bored racing in this series, I'll tell you what.
No, seriously not, Avery. So we've got 3 battles, three-car battles at the front of the field. Our top 9 sitting right out of, and looks like a pass there about to get made here on the long back straight. Let's take a look as they come through. And actually, I think we're going to jump, there we go, with that battle with Andrew Abbott a little bit further ahead, who appears to have gotten around Caleb Patry. So move Andrew Abbott now up to 6th, move Patry back to 7th, and then a little bit further back is Andrew's brother Brandon with that battle between Miner and Campbell. And I was just going to mention that Jeff Miner going into the keyhole had just gotten around Tyler Campbell. So a little bit of swapping around here in the top 10.
Yeah, they've been swapping around all race, and I don't expect that to change. 8 minutes down and to 20. Jeff Miner, as you can see him in that 281, just sitting there trying to find a way to get around Brandon Abbott and just being patient right now. You know, there's still quite a bit of time left in this race, just waiting for an opportunity, hoping Abbott's going to make a mistake, is Jeff Miner.
All right, so let's jump back up here as we watch the battle a little bit further up with Miles Crab and Zach Burke. And Burke pretty much nose to tail with Crab, the 2 teammates, the 2 Canadians, as they come down into turn 4 over by China Beach, and then up the hill towards Madness. And Zach Burke in the number 13 car, he gets around Miles Crab. So Crab drops another position. He's now back in 5th after having started in, I believe, 3rd position here at the start of the race. And as we sit on board with Crab, you can look at the gearbox here as they come through Thunder Valley, exiting Thunder Valley into the carousel. Real tight, hard hit on the brakes, late apex there, and you can see that Zach Burke pushes a little wide. That might affect his run onto the front straight here, but it doesn't look like Crab can do anything with it.
Yeah, Crab just sitting there right behind Burke, and you know, like we said in the open, Burke had no incidents last race, and so far, without the commentator's curse, he doesn't have any now. Crab gonna look to the inside of the keyhole.
And let's see here as they go into the keyhole and with a clean run. And you can see that he did get caught up in that draft coming out of turn 1. So Miles Crabb now, he takes over. Well, before I say anything here, for a moment, he takes over third spot. But looks like the battle is going to continue on as they go down into turn 4 right by China Beach.
Yeah, Burke trying to defend it a little more than I kind of figured he would, but able to still slip behind Miles. And this is the part of the track where you're just kind of on the Sunday cruise, and then once it gets to a spot where hey, I can make an overtake and start getting a little aggressive. Miles got through there a little bit better than Burke, but it still goes Miles, Burke, Abbott, and Patry. That 4-car battle has started since the beginning, and we just passed the halfway point here, Greg.
Yeah, we've still got a long way to go. So again, sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now is Dylan Christie in the number 22 car. Dan Sattilli running second. Evan Rackison rounds out the top 3 as we jump back here now to our leaders, and you can see that Rackison in the number 46 car, he's really starting to fall off the scent here as Sattilli making a late move going into the keyhole. Thought he might be able to sneak in underneath Christie, was not quite close enough to do it, and it really hurt him at the exit of the corner there. I mean, when you make that lurch at the entry, and again, the keyhole, it's a little bit hard to tell here with the camera views, but it is downhill and it's off camber. You really start fighting the car on exit, but it doesn't seem to hurt them all that much as they make their way down into the S's here at Mid-Ohio. Yeah,
it's definitely a very tough corner here. Let's take a look at the timing, the scoring. We're looking at the battle for second, battle for first. And Christie and Sattilli have kind of pulled a little bit of a gap over Rackison, but still some time for Evan to get back up there and try to go back to back.
Yeah, and we'll see here because, as we saw with some of the previous battles coming out of turn 1, making their way to the keyhole, and then as long as you can get a good run out of the keyhole heading down towards turn 4, those are really the 2 places where the draft play has some play here. And Rackison now, as he sits just a little bit more than a second back from Dan Sattilli, might be, and probably is, just slightly out of that draft range. So might really hurt him during these straightaways as we jump that back now over to the battle. I believe this is the battle for fourth, where we've got Crabb, Burke, Abbott, and Caleb Patry. The 4 cars here as they make their way out of the keyhole, and you can see they make that downhill run. They've got the little bit of a kink here on the back straight, not exactly straight, as they now come under braking there, and right about where you see those dashed lines running across is your turn in for turn 4. And as quickly as they go into turn 4, they start to head up the hill towards Madness. Great battle here going on here in the battle for 5th right now.
Yeah, battles all around.
Or battle for 4th, pardon me.
Battles all around here. Take a look at Tyler Campbell. He's up. Well, he's not up any spots, but has an opportunity to go up 1 spot on Brandon Abbott. And that's a battle for 8th position. And take a look how Brandon Abbott kind of is going around this track, just doing it a little bit different, but he's still doing it nice and smooth. I mean, I tested these cars earlier today, Greg, and I actually did. And we were looking at like the 125 lap time, so we were a little slow, but these guys are a lot quicker.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so our leaders are up in the 118s. And talk about being in the draft and being consistent. I was just looking at the lap times for our 2 leaders, Christie and Sattilli. Christie running a 118.37, Sattilli a 118.38. Evan Rackison sitting back in 3rd, a 118.37. So our top 3 drivers all running almost identical lap times here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, running really good times and staying consistent. That's the key to any type of racing, is being consistent. And that's what Christie's done so far, as he's maintained the lead since lap number 1 after making up 2 spots from his starting position. So really put on a good time. Take a look at the bottom there, literally how close their times have been without it. Which is a couple laps, there's some differences. See 7 and 8, quite a bit of a difference, but every other lap was just very close.
Now, what may start to bring up some inconsistent lap times, Avery, as our viewers can now see. both Christie and Satilli now coming up on the back of the field, and they're going to have to start making their way through traffic. Now, we saw both at Mid-Ohio and also at Sonoma where traffic got to be an issue, and you see now here going into the keyhole, Dan Satilli now right up beside Dylan Christie, the closest he has been to the lead here, and he had the long way around the outside of the keyhole, and not likely that he was going to make it work, but he's going to try once again as he pops out in the draft, going down into turn 4. Our leader Christie still has position as they go in, and they are now side by side through 4. Satilli has position as they come up over Madness, but as they come down the hill, you're going to find Dylan Christie has position, but we now have a new leader. It is Dan Satilli in the number 112 car. He's gotten around Dylan Christie, so move Christie, who held the point for what, about 12 laps. He now falls back into second position.
What a great opportunity by Satilli, and what you saw there was great racecraft between both those drivers. You see Satilli catching up to another lap car, Brockway, just giving each other room and really racing hard. So, I mean, you see it all the time with this series and these drivers.
Yeah, you do, and you always where traffic always comes into play. Now side by side once again going into turn 1, and Dylan Christie retakes the lead. So 1 lap in the books where he is not your leader, but Dylan Christie now once again our leader as they come under the keyhole. And yes, you can see some of our slower traffic moving to the outside, have those blue flags that they know the leaders are coming, and letting them on by. But you'll notice here also, Avery, is that Evan Rackison in the number 46 car. He is now back in the battle because as Christie and Satilli were battling it out side by side, and as they were working through traffic, Rackison was able to make up almost a full second on our leaders, and it is now a 3-car battle for the lead.
Yeah, he wanted a little bit of piece of that action, and now he's there. The top 3 are within a car length of each other, 16 and a half minutes down as we go on board with Rackison. As you see him working that steering wheel and just being nice and smooth. You got to be real smooth with these cars, working and hitting those apexes and just maintaining a good line through this tough Mid-Ohio racetrack. And like there's within a car length between them all.
Yeah. And now Rackison is back in that draft range where he had fallen out previously. You can see didn't get quite the run that Christie and Satilli got out of the keyhole. That keyhole, very, very difficult. You have to be very, very discreet with your braking, and a very late turn in. You want to get to the curbing. In real life, there's a big pothole right at that very late apex. As you come out, and then set yourself up to get onto the front straight. But he hasn't lost a lot of ground, and we'll see he definitely is in the draft here as they make their way past the kink on the back straight. And now going side by side once again, Christie and Satilli now heading down into turn 4, and for the second time side by side going through 4 and up through Madness. And as they come down, we might have had a little bit of a touch there between Christie and Satilli as they are still side by side coming underneath the Honda bridge and through the S's. And Avery, who does Evan Rackison pick to go through? And it looked like he picked Christie, and he picked right, because now Evan Rackison moves into second place with just a little bit of time left on the clock.
Yeah, Rackison and Satilli kind of had synchronized oversteer moments. Literally, they were both a little oversteer at the same time, but it's as they completed lap number 13, it's Christie, Satilli, and Rackison, top 3. Just, man, this is Greg. This is what we get every week, man.
Yeah,
always great races.
Yeah, I mean we've seen this now 3 weeks in a row across the 3 different classes here. Great battle going on as we have about a minute and a half left. So I believe our drivers are probably working, the second to last lap here as they make their way down, and our leaders have made their way through the keyhole we're watching right now. This is the battle for 9th and 10th. We've got Chad Griffith and Jeff Miner and Steve Ray in that battle as well. Let's see, we had a driver just go off, and that was Miner, who went off on the entrance to the keyhole. So Steve Ray now manages to move around him. So move Chad Griffith up to 10th, Ray up to 11th, drop Jeff Miner now back into 12th. as our leaders come through Thunder Valley and go and set up for the keyhole, pardon me, for the carousel here. And again, late entry and right there at the apex, and they'll come through onto the front straight. And I believe, Avery, they should be getting the white flag this time by.
Again, the white flag here at Mid-Ohio, this Pro Mazda Series. It was great to see him get another lap. It looked like it was going to get kind of close, but you see it goes Christie, Rackison, Satilli, all within 0.7 of a second of each other. And we'll see if Rackison's going to get a good run out of the keyhole. He's going to really need a good run to make a move.
Yeah, he's a little bit further back there. He does get a good run, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough for him to attempt a pass here coming down into turn 4. Looks as though he's about 2.5, maybe 3 car lengths back, and makes up a little bit of it under braking, but certainly not close enough to challenge Dylan Christie. Dan Satilli likewise not close enough. Oh, and our leaders have to, as they come through, we've got a driver that's off course, and they manage to avoid as they make their way now down through the S's and over to that huge rise over at turn 9 as the cars get very light on exit. You can see both Rackison and Satilli sliding all the way out as they enter Thunder Valley. And here we go. For the last time, can Dylan Christie hold off Evan Rackison and Dan Satilli?
Yeah, Rackison had it last week, and Christie's going to have it this week at Mid-Ohio.
And there you go, taking the win, Dylan Christie in the number 22 car. He started third. He finishes on the top of the podium. Evan Rackison will come home second. And then we've got Dan Satilli. He will finish in third. Miles Crabb will finish in fourth as the rest of our field starts to come through. Zach Burke crosses the stripe. He will finish fifth, holds off Andrew Abbott in the number 25 car. Caleb Patry, who had a bit of an off earlier in the race, he will finish in seventh. Brandon Abbott finishes in eighth. Chad Griffith ninth. Steve Ray going to round out the top 10.
Yeah, great battles throughout this whole entire field. These cars, these drivers, it doesn't matter if it's a Mazda or the Pro Mazda or the Spec Racer Ford, Greg, it's always great. And we got another one coming up next.
And there you go, and that's Graham Lofhead going off, and you can see he's battling all the way up to the very end as Lofhead was battling it out with Don Manning, and Manning manages to hold on to 17th. Graham Lofhead, I don't think loses a position. He will finish in 18th. Lofhead, one of our Formula V drivers from the Sports Car Club of America.
Yeah, a couple drivers left to finish, but we do have a couple drivers waiting for an interview. We can go through the results once the last driver's gone through. Get old Evan down for an interview.
All right. All right, so as we mentioned, taking the win today in our first race of the evening, it is Dylan Christie. Evan Rackison, about a half second back. Dan Satilli is going to round out the podium, finishing in third. Miles Crabb finishes fourth. Zach Burke fifth. Andrew Abbott, Brandon Abbott, then Chad Griffith, Steve Ray, and Jeff Miner will finish in 10th. Then we've got Justin Huffman, Tyler Campbell, Brian McRae, Steve Ford, Aaron Botnick, Don Manning, Caleb Patry, Graham Lofhead finishing 18th. And as we scroll down there, we've got Joaquin Effinger finishing 19th. Charles Vaccaro will finish in 20th. All right, so Dennis, do we have one of our finishers here that can join us? And we have now in the announce booth, we've got Dan Satilli. Dan, who finished third today. Great run today. And had some great side-by-side racing there in the last couple laps with Dylan Christie.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun with Dylan. I felt like I was in the best position there, sitting second, and just kind of biding my time, watching Dylan, experiencing the push in these downforce cars. So because when Dylan got behind traffic, he was having a little bit of trouble, and that was my time to pounce. So just didn't make it happen, but a lot of fun racing with both of them, and Evan got the best of me when he saw his opportunity there.
Yeah, I was wondering if when you guys were running in traffic as you came up on the back of the field towards the end of the race, and of course as you were sitting right behind Dylan for the majority, if that definitely affected the front end of that car, and if you had the push, and it looked like you managed to deal with it for the majority of the race and made it work to your advantage until I guess Evan took advantage of the battle between you and Christy.
Yep, yep. I got by Dylan there for a lap, but then he took it right back when we experienced traffic again. So I gotta say thanks to you guys for putting this on at Apex Racing, our sponsor, RaceVoice. I've had some previous experience in Spec Miatas at Mid-Ohio, so I think that definitely helped me out to learn the track. And a few other people I gotta thank is my spotter, Jacob Smith. And on the side of my car is Race Engineering. They put the engine in my Spec Miata in real life, and I like to think they build a fast engine in the virtual world.
There
So
you
glad to
go.
have them on the side of my car.
Excellent. All right, Dan, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. That's Dan Satilli finishing third tonight in Pro Mazda. Let's see, who do we have next? We've got Evan Rackison, who finished second tonight. Avery, you have a couple questions for Evan?
Oh yeah, Evan, congrats on a great run. I mean, last week we saw you get the win and second place here at Mid Ohio. It was pretty much a 3-car battle from the beginning. How was the race from your eyes?
Hey, thanks, Avery. Hey, guys. Yeah, it was a pretty interesting race. Good tight racing. Dylan and Daniel had some great pace today. I was just barely hanging on to the back of them. So when they started pulling away, I was like, oh well, unless they start getting into it, that's going to be my race. So when I saw them going side by side, getting caught up in some lap cars, I started licking my chops and was patient and made my move.
Yeah, you really, when you're in the sitting third place and with about a half second to a second back, and you see the leader start the battle, that really gives you that opportunity to make a pass and get you up into the final spot on the podium. One thing I got to ask you is, this series is so well put together and all the racers race clean. What do you got to say about how great this series is?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about how much I like racing with the SCCA guys and the events that Steve Ray puts on. It's a level of cleanliness and professionalism that you don't see in the normal public lobbies. So it's great practice for the real thing.
Absolutely, Evan. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my mom and dad.
Big shout out to Evan's mom and dad for raising a great race car driver, because, man, it's been fun watching it. We're excited to watch you again soon.
Thanks a lot, Avery. Looking forward to it.
What a cool guy. We got Dylan Christie, your race winner, Greg.
Yeah, all right. So we got Dylan Christie, and I don't know how Dylan's going to follow up on Evan's mom and thanking Evan's mom and dad. But Dylan, our winner tonight in Pro Mazda. First off, congratulations.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, we can. So, Dylan, what was your strategy going into the race this evening?
Well, I was trying to be on my feet on that start. And that helped me most of all was that start. Starting out of that tight chicane, you can use it to your advantage. So that was good. And just try to hold on to the lead. I think in these cars on this track, as soon as you give up the lead, it's hard to really gain it back. And then, approaching some lap cars, just trying to maintain the lead. And I know I lost it at one point and then was able to get it back. But it was a fun little race. I mean, it was a little stressful towards the end, trying to maintain the lead for 20 minutes, but, just putting in consistent laps worked out.
Yeah, and a matter of fact, we were watching how consistent your lap times were, both you and Dan, as well as Evan, for that matter, all within a couple hundredths of a second, seemingly lap after lap. And we kind of, Avery and I, as we watched the race, we were starting to wonder, as you came up on the back of the field, how that might affect your race, because obviously then you had more to worry about than just looking in the rearview mirror. And as we saw, it looked like Dan definitely took advantage of it, at least early on. But you had the measure of him making your way back around at the end of that one lap that he managed to hold on to the lead. And it was definitely a good move there as you came out of turn one. It definitely looked like you had a little more pace there.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was where he was, that was me last week. I was sitting in second and just trying to get by, but you need to wait for an opportunity. And that's kind of the key. It's almost like street course racing. Like, you're not going to get many passing opportunities, but if you just sit there and wait and pressure someone, you might get a spot. So I kind of felt the opposite as like the car in front. And then the lap cars is another nice, cool, fun challenge. I really like this car too. I mean, I think this the Legacy drives really well on Mid Ohio because I think the suspension's a bit softer in the game, and then also it's lighter, so it made for some fun. And yeah, I was happy it was consistent too.
Excellent. All right. Well, everybody, once again, Dylan Christie, and do you have anybody you'd like to thank? Of course, we know you had a lot of great folks last week from Sonoma, and you might as well give them a shout out tonight as well.
Yeah. So biggest thank you to Turn 3. I'd just been racing with them a bit earlier. I'm racing USF 2000 with them this year, and they've been helping me get up to speed on the sim, and then this season in real life, and then Steel USA are helmet guys.
Excellent. All right, everybody. Well, that is Dylan Christie. He finished on the podium last week at Sonoma, and tonight takes the win at Mid Ohio. Thanks again, Dylan.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to take a quick little break. We're going to get set up for our next race, which is going to be the Spec Racer Fords here on the Ray eSports Spring Tour. Of course, both of our races tonight brought to you on Apex Racing TV by Racer61. Not Racer61. I'm sorry, by RaceVoice. So there you go. Free plug for our other sponsor, RaceVoice, with their data acquisition systems for both the real race car and the virtual race car, bringing you the action this evening. All right, we'll be back in just a few moments with our Spec Racer Ford race.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap, or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyse and replicate. Datapacks also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyse and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
All right, and we're back here with the Ray Esports Racing League. This is week number 3. We're at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Just had an amazing race in Pro Mazda, Avery, but next up is going to be Spec Racer Ford. But before we start Spec Racer Ford, I want to just mention the third class that we have on the Race Sports Racing League. What we do is we've got 9 race weekends. We've got 3 different classes, and we rotate through the different classes each week. And not joining us here this evening are the MX-5 racers. Actually, I guess we have a lot of the racers here tonight, just not the cars. But the MX-5s, they had their second race of the series last week in Sonoma. And we had Ryan Maloney take the win, Mitchell Peak and Charles Bailey finishing on the podium, Michael Keltner finishing 4th, George Fike finishing in 5th. And if we take a look at the points, because this is one of now 2 classes that's actually had 2 races in the books. After those 2 races, Ryan Maloney is currently sitting atop the leaderboard. After 2 weeks, Mitchell Peak is your running 2nd. Charles Bailey is 3rd. Murphy Nichols 4th. John Allen 5th. Zach Burke 6th. Greg Matt Cooper Lilly, Steve Ray, and Michael Keltner. Now, certainly helping out Ryan Maloney is the fact that he had a perfect incident-free race last week. So he now has a 3-point advantage over Mitchell Peak. And Ryan also has a 1 win to his name at this point, but he is now 4 points up on Mitchell Peak. So with that out of the way, and we'll worry more about Mazda MX-5 when they return next week at Barber, let's jump over to Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah, this Spec Racer Ford, I tell you what, this car, it's a little weird looking, Greg, but it's a lot of fun to drive, a lot of fun to watch. Every race I've called with this Spec Racer Ford has been just exciting, and They may be slow in speed, but they're high in intensity. So
absolutely,
I'm excited for another one.
Absolutely, yeah. And you say that they may be kind of goofy looking, but they were designed these bodies, and and I don't know how good I don't know if they ever got put in a wind tunnel or not when they were first when these spec racers were first brought out in the late 80s, but they've had numerous gestations in Sports Car Club of America racing. They actually started out as being known as sports racer Renaults because they had the same motor that Renault was using, I believe, in the Alliance and Encore cars. And when Renault left the U.S. market, the Sports Car Club of America went to Ford to see if they could very quickly get a drivetrain that would work in these cars. And so for years, we had the 1.9 liter iron block motors that you found in the Ford Escort, and that's what you have in these cars here that we see running in just the last couple of years. And I'd love to see them in iRacing, but the last couple of years, the spec racer Fords have been running with the 1.6 liter all aluminum motors that you find in the Ford Focus, and it makes the cars a little bit lighter, definitely makes them a little bit faster as well. And what SCCA Enterprises that makes these cars did is they gave them an upgraded brake system to deal with the faster speeds. But the one advantage to racing with these, no matter what engine is in them, is that you always have very close racing. These fiberglass bodies were designed, and again, going back to, I don't know how good, how much wind tunnel time they got back in the day, but they were designed to really promote draft pack and pack racing. And these cars, you'll notice that the nose of the cars will slot right underneath the ducktail of the rear of the car, right ahead of them. As a matter of fact, almost to the point where there's like a little cage that surrounds the differential on these cars, almost to the point where you can drive the nose right into that little cage and close up the air opening, the air intake on these cars. But really some great racing. Anytime you see them in iRacing, and I've seen 65, 75 car fields in real life in Spec Racer Ford, and it always makes for great racing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sometimes when you get these big grids on iRacing, it can be kind of hectic. But when you get them with these Spec Racer Ford, with a lot of drivers that we have here, with a great racecraft and just great drivers in general, it turns out to be an epic race. And I got no doubt in my mind that this right now 26 car field is going to be another epic race, but here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, this race is going to be brought to you by RaceVoice, much like our first race. Definitely recommend that you check them out and check out their services at www.racevoice.com. They've got some a great product that for the real cars that sits in between your dashboard and either your Motec or AIM data acquisition systems, and will actually feed information to you in your ear while you're racing in real time, so that you can better your driving. And they also have data act systems for the sim racing as well. But as you mentioned, very close racing. And the last time we saw the Spec Racer Fords on the Ray Esports Spring League was at week 1 at Road Atlanta, and Caleb Patry, who is currently your provisional pole sitter, with just about 3.5 minutes left to go, probably with just about 2.5 minutes left to go in this 15-minute qualifying session. He took the win. Steve Ray, who's currently third fastest in this qualifying session, he finished a very, very close second, and Greg Mack took the last step, probably not Greg Mack, David Schwartz took the last step on the podium at Road Atlanta, finishing 4th with Jeff Miner. Greg Mack finished 5th. I almost said that Greg Mack finished in 3rd, and that is because if we go and look at the points, he's actually 3rd in the point standings for having run that incident-free race at Road Atlanta. Matter of fact, both he and Steve Ray did. So Caleb Patry now sitting at the top of the points battle with 25 points. Steve Ray with 22. Greg Mack with 19. David Schwartz, who finished third in that race, is actually fourth in the points, tied with Jeff Miner, who also got a bonus point. So Schwartz, even though he finished on the podium, he's kind of stuck a little bit further back in the points battle there. But it should be some great racing this weekend as well, or this week as well, pardon me.
Yeah, a lot of tight battles and points, which brings in tight battles during the race. And take a look at our timing scoring on the left side of the screen. There's a lot of very close times throughout the field. Just about over a minute left to qualifying here at Mid-Ohio. Patrick out front so far.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of drivers that we just watched in the Pro Mazda race jump on over into the Spec Racer Fords as well. Chad Griffith, who just pitted his car in. He's running fourth fastest right now. We saw him in Pro Mazda. In addition to that, Miles Crabb, Jeff Miner. Let's see if we go a little bit further down the field. I believe we saw Joaquin Effinger and Wayne Buttermore as well. So lots of drivers here. And of course, Steve Ray, Caleb Patry, Zach Burke. So pretty much a good portion of the drivers here doing double duty this evening, having just gotten out of the Pro Mazdas, did not, for obvious reasons, run that 80-minute practice session in the Spec Racer Fords, and they jumped right out of the cars and into the qualifying session here for Spec Racers. We have just about 10 seconds left to go before the checkered flag is shown for our drivers here at Mid-Ohio. So these last flying laps, of course, will count as the checkered flag is now being displayed. And we take a look here as Jeff Miner makes his way, and that's probably going to impact his lap time there. As yeah, he's gonna call things off on what would have been his last flying lap, as there was a car spun around right at the exit of the keyhole.
Yeah, when sometimes with this track, you just can't see what's in front of you because it's such a lot of blind corners, elevation changes, and just happen to have a driver right stuck in front of him, which unfortunate for him, but he still had a really good time down. We just got a couple more drivers left. So.
Yeah, let's take a look here as we have Prodden, that's Suraj Prodden going into the carousel for the very last time, and right behind him another car spins out. And I think that was the number 12 car that went around. Let's see who that is. That is Sean Foes in the number 12 car. He may be having trouble with those rear-wheel drive things. I know I race against Sean quite a bit in a league where we race the Volkswagen TDI Cup Jettas, and so he might be used to that front end push a little bit more than the oversteer from these cars.
Yeah, these cars are just a little bit different than the Volkswagen. Just a little bit.
Yeah, you drive them very, very differently. The one factor, and I know it had always been an issue, maybe even a little bit more so than in the real Spec Racer Fords, is a lot of lift-off oversteer. You have to be very, very smooth with your throttle application. If you go and just lift your foot off the throttle in a corner, there's a good chance that the rear end of that car is going to come around as the weight unloads and goes to the front of the car. So definitely something that for those of us that are used to driving front-wheel drive cars, either in real life or here on the sim, definitely have to be conscious of. All right, so we've got our very last cars making their way around the course. We still have it looks like a couple of drivers that may be out on their last flying laps. And take that back. No, we don't.
Said no.
Yep. iRacing cut them all off. All right. So, Avery, why don't we go run down the starting order here? I'll start off with the top 10 and then pass it on over to you. Starting off on the pole today in Spec Racer Ford is going to be Caleb Patry. Starting second on the outside of the front row, Zach Burke. Your second row today, Stevie Ray with Chad Griffith starting fourth, Miles Crabb fifth with Greg Mack starting on the outside of the third row. Then we've got Justin Clardy and Jeff Miner starting row 4. Andrew Benna also from that the SCCA Foundations League with Suraj Pradhan starting 10th. Cooper, actually, let's pass it over to you, Avery. I said the top 10. I can't even count anymore.
Starting 11th is Cooper Lilly, and then Bryce Evans in 12th, down to 13th place. Samuel Tully and Charles Bailey in 14th. Jeffrey Tattersall, Corey Hunter, Andre Jameson, Andrew Wozencroft, Sean Foes, Joaquin Effinger, Joe Camarelli, Todd Martin, John Casey, Wayne Buttermore in 24th, and then we have Russ Lundberg, Jeffrey Flopakowski, and Andrew Abbott. Currently hasn't gridded yet, so hopefully we see one of the Abbott brothers here today. We saw him earlier. Hopefully we see him when Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah, and again, Andrew, our 2019 SCCA national champion in Formula V. All right, so the pace car now about ready to take the field up for their abbreviated pace lap. We can see here as they get set up and make their way around. They're coming through the very tail end of Thunder Valley, gonna come around turn 11 and into the carousel at turn 12. And then it is a very, very short run onto the front straight where they will take the green flag. The pace car is in the pits, and our pole sitter now, that is Caleb Patry. He gets one heck of a jump on Zach Burke before the green flag is even in the air, and they now make their way down underneath the Honda Bridge and through turn 1 for the very first time with Patry and Burke. Steve Ray manages to hold off Chad Griffith through turn 1. Then Miles Crabb, Justin Clardy. Andrew Bennock gets around Jeff Miners. They come through turn 1, but loses it in the draft, going down into the keyhole for the very first time. Avery, over to you.
Great start by Patry, and then it goes to Burke, Ray, Griffith, and Krabbe. We look back at Rosencroft and Todd Martin. Martin, who is up 3 spots, put on a really stellar run down this long straightaway. Is Martin back up to 6th place with another guy named Greg Mack. With only 1 G.
There you go, with just 1 G. And again, Greg finished in 5th. The very first week at Road Atlanta here as our leaders make their way through the S's at, or actually over top of Madness at turn 5 here at Mid-Ohio for the very first time as Caleb Patry leads the field through, and going around over at turn 6 was Justin Clardy in the number 7 car. We'll see if he gets things back underway. It looks like Joe Camilleri also went around, as did Andre Jameson. And there you go. You can see him off in the grass there, the number 25 car. That is Andre Jameson. Looks like he's probably going to have to bring his car back to the pits for that fast repair. A lot of damage to the rear as he hit the tire wall.
Yeah, a lot of damage there.
Yeah, a lot. And getting loose on the exit of the carousel. That was, I believe, Greg Mack in the number 2 car. Got put around, I believe, by Jeff Tattersall in the 23. A little bit of nose there, and we could see things not nearly as clean as we saw the Formula Mazdas a little while ago. As the 281 at Jeff Miner now drops from, I believe, 7th position now all the way down to 15th, and he continues to lose ground as he's trying to get back up to speed. So lots of changes here at the front end of the field as this race gets underway. But I'll tell you, back towards the front of the field now, Caleb Patry and Zach Burke. No problems for those 2 cars as they are nose to tail. We can see Burke peeks his nose in just a little bit as they come down on the braking into turn 4 at the end of the long back straightaway here at Mid-Ohio. But I would suspect that Burke pretty much has that mindset that he and Patry should try and separate themselves out from Steve Ray and Chad Griffith. And I guess we have Miles Crabb in that threesome, that 3-car battle for 5th as well.
Yeah, Patry and Burke have put on a really good a little bit of a hop skip from Stevie Ray, 1.2 seconds between 2nd and 3rd. And so take a look at the battle for the 3rd. We have Chad Griffith, Steve Ray, Miles Krabbe, and Suraj Pradham, and just some really good racing. We saw a lot of these drivers battling each other a couple weeks ago because we didn't have the Spec Racer Ford last week. We'll see them next week, but I'll tell you what, this has been fun.
There we go. Chad Griffith just had some issues getting out of the carousel. We can see he went in, had a good entry, and then just the rear end started to walk out on him. And so Suraj Pradham starts to make up some ground there, but Miles Crabb gets around Chad Griffith, so drop Griffith now back to 5th, move Crabb up to 4th, and that gives a little bit of breathing room to Steve Ray now as they make their way out of the carousel, or probably out of the keyhole and onto the back straight here. Now, during week 1 at Road Atlanta, Steve Ray, he also started a little bit further back. I think he started 5th and had to work his way up. The way the race finished is he was battling it out for the win with Caleb Patry. So we'll have to see if he can work his way back into that battle with the lead pair and make it a 3-car battle for the lead as we look then a little bit further back from Steve Ray, where we've got Chad Griffith in the 826 car, who's gotten things straightened back up here after his problems in the carousel, and Miles Crabb in the number 31 as they make their way now down through the S's, and they should be heading over the top of turn 9 in the Thunder Valley here towards the end of lap number 2.
Yeah, Patry and Burke have put on a good gap, almost 2 seconds away from Stevie Ray, and Ray's got a good gap back and forth, so he can really just kind of push the limit, try to get up to the top 2, and try to get a little bit of that toe. He's going to really need to get down some solid laps, so we just got 1/4 of the way through this 20-minute race. And there's Burke putting down the quickest time of the day, and Stevie Ray put down his personal best of the day here at Mid-Ohio. So a lot of drivers are putting down their best times right now. Yeah,
so Steve Ray now, as he's almost 2 seconds back from our lead pair, definitely out of the draft. You know, I guess, Avery, one of the things that we should be looking for here, especially after what we saw in race 1 tonight, is whether or not by the time this race starts to count down to that 20-minute that 20-minute timer, is if they're going to start coming up on some slower traffic, on some back marker traffic, because that definitely could help Steve Ray get back into the lead. And I mean, frankly, as we watch Zach Burke put the nose on Patry going into turn 4 again, you know, that could help Ray as well if we see that battle for the lead start up maybe a little bit earlier than, say, lap 7 or 8.
Yeah, Stevie Ray really wants those top 2 cars to start battling side by side the whole entire time, so they can slow up their lap times a little bit and allow Stevie Ray to catch back up. But so far, it's been the Caleb Patry show, putting on a really good time. He's got just about actually 0.4 of a second slower quick time than Burke. So, man, this is
and
drivers are really going for it.
Yeah, and I'd like to see if Burke can make up some ground coming through turn 1 here. He had a much better line through the carousel, got a much better entry coming through the final turn, turn 13 onto the front straight. We'll have to see if he can do anything about it as we go back a little bit further in the field. We're watching now. We've got Greg Mack and also Jeff Miner. Miner in the 281 car. Of course, we saw Miner go around a little bit earlier, actually on lap 1 of the race. Then with Mack and Sean Foes quite a bit back behind that battle going on right now, which is the battle for 12th.
Yeah, Greg put on some really good pace after going around earlier, and a super impressive run for him after that incident. Nice little 3-car battle here. Jeff Miner's got a little bit of right front damage, as you can tell, and same with you see Mack behind him. He's got a little right rear. We said this in a couple races ago, Greg, that we're going to see these cars get a little beat up, and they do just fine when they're just a little beat up.
Yeah, I mean, it might affect them on these longer straights that we have here at Mid-Ohio. I mean, there's only really one longer straight here, this back straight, but coming out of turn 1, heading down towards the keyhole as well, might affect ultimate top speed. But certainly when you've got 2 cars close to one another that both have damage, you know, you're not going to see one run away from the other. And you can see here where the 281 of Miner just can't walk away from Greg Mack's number 2 car on the straights. But here we go. Let's jump a little bit further back in the field. And this is actually, this is a little bit further up in the field. This is Evans. That's Bryce Evans. And I believe he's got Tattershaw with him as well, as they make their way now down through the carousel there. Yeah, there's the 23 car with Tattershell. And then we've got Justin Clardy, the third car in that train, in the number 7 car. And here we go, going into turn 1 as Clardy tries to make the move on the 23 car, and looks like he's gonna get it done as they make their run down towards the keyhole. And you know, that the fact that Clardy got that pass done fairly early means he didn't lose a lot of ground to the driver right ahead of him, Bryce Evans.
Yeah, great battle.
Yeah, this is I believe the battle for the lead right here with Patry and Burke as we jump back up to our lead pair now as they start to come through the S's. And for a minute there, it looked like Zach Burke might have been able to make the move on Patry, but Patry manages to hold him off.
Yeah, Patry managed to hold off Burke there, like you just said, and he's just putting on some really good laps, and so is Burke, and they're really starting to pull away from Ray. We'll see if Burke's probably gonna have to wait till the keyhole to try to make a move, but he's in a really good opportunity. He gets a great run out of the final couple corners here at Mid-Ohio to get very close to Patry. We're looking back from Caleb Patry.
There we go as they come back onto the front straight here, and we can see they are coming up on some of that slower traffic, actually earlier than we saw in the Pro Mazda race. So this may affect things just a bit in the battle for the lead. Now, the last time we had checked in with Steve Ray, he was about 2 seconds off of our leaders. He is now 3 seconds back from our leaders. So he's starting to lose the scent just a little bit as we've got a great battle going on right behind him between Chad Griffith and Miles Crabb now as they enter the keyhole. And we'll have to see, one, if they will battle it out or if they work together under the draft to maybe put a little effort together to move up to Ray and battle it out for the last step on the podium.
Yeah, just past the halfway point here at the Mid-Ohio. We've said it in the beginning of this broadcast, Greg, that this track, it brings great battles and great difficulty, and the drivers have shown how they've been able to tame this difficult track. And Patry and Burke have been just putting on some very good laps. But like we said earlier in this broadcast, lap traffic, and guess what's coming up?
Yeah, here we go as they come now into turn 9, go up over that rise, and you'll see the car slide out just a little bit and heading into Thunder Valley. They are now only a couple of car lengths back from the tail end of the field. I believe that is John Casey in the number 78 car right ahead of him, and then Joe Camilleri, who had some issues on the very first lap, right ahead of them. Joe in H production drives a VW Scirocco in SCCA road racing from Canada. So good to see him in the virtual United States, because he wasn't able to get into the U.S. To race his car on any of the real tracks last year. As looks like we've got that one car, got the 78 car moving over for our leaders now, and they've got quite a bit of clear running now as they head down into the keyhole. And you can see here where both of those drivers do take a very late entrance into the keyhole so that they can get the car straightened out on exit and get a good run down this long back straight at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, Patry able to maintain the lead and started to pull away just a little bit, but Burke was able to reel him in. And 12 minutes down into this 20-minute race, and it's pretty much a 2-car battle for the lead. It hasn't changed since the beginning, but these drivers are just putting on some really good laps, got great racecraft, and just really, I'm learning right now, Greg. I don't know about you, but I'm like, I should have taken this corner way faster.
Absolutely. You watch these guys, and there's always something new you can learn. Now, I did something else I learned. Andre Jameson, who had that impact with the wall up by Madness on the very first lap, he just now brought his car into the pits. I would suspect that the driving just got a little unbearable for him. The fact that he made it almost 12 minutes into this race before he brought the car into the pits, I think is pretty admirable. But we'll see how much longer that happens. And actually, I'm noticing now that is his second time in the pits. All right, so our leaders now cross the stripe. They complete lap number 7. We're about 13 minutes into this 20-minute timed race, and it is still Caleb Patry in the number 198 car with Zach Burke in the 13. It's just as it's been since the drop of the green flag, and they continue to stretch things out over the rest of the field. Steve Ray, for the last 2 laps or so, though, he's been running pretty consistent lap times, and he's got just about between a 3.5 and a 4 second gap back to our leaders here as we get a lot of brake lock up right behind him, though. Avery looks at Crab Griffith and Siraj Pradham starting to really push that braking zone going into the keyhole.
Yeah, they're really pushing the limits with 14 minutes down with 6 minutes to go. Oh, just a couple more laps, and this is when you really need to start pushing your limits and just try to get as much as you can out of the track. Just drive it in a little bit deeper, get a little bit on the gas a little bit sooner, try to get a little bit quicker time, and really, caught lap traffic kind of at a bad point, but still able to get through clean. So that's great to see. But really good battles here for looks to be 4th position.
Yeah, this is the battle for 4th right now with the 826 of Chad Griffith, the 31 of Crab, and you can see some of the drivers even going as far as driving completely off the course and into the grass to let some of our faster drivers at the front of the field by.
As you can take a look at the top right of your screen, there's that track map, and you see like where the 1, 2, and 3, that's the location of where our leaders are, and you can see where the lap traffic is in front of them. So you'll see they'll have at least one more group of lap cars to get around. You see Patry.
Oh, look at this. Patry gets loose on the exit of turn 1, drops a wheel into the grass, rear end gets real squirrely, and now Burke is now right up on Caleb Patry as they go into the keyhole. Patry, though, with the position going into that very, very big horseshoe there, and being the keyhole here at Mid-Ohio, and manages to recover, at least for the moment. But let's see now as Burke has a run going down the back straight here, heading down towards turn 4. Once again, Patry with position going into turn 4. But of course, as quickly as you make that right-hander, the track changes over to a left-hander up at the top of Madness as Patry manages to hold on at least for the moment. And can he cement that lead? It looks like he does, as Burke is going to have to follow him down through the S's here at Mid-Ohio.
We saw that in the Pro Mazda, where you kind of let somebody go on the right side, give them that preferred line going into the first corner, and how it actually didn't end up working for the car on the right, but not today. Patry was able to clear Burke and just really put on a really good effort there as he leads with 16 minutes down, 4 to go.
All right, and they're coming up on some more lap traffic, but you can see what just one minor mistake can bring, as Caleb Patry dropped that wheel coming out of turn 1 just about 1 lap ago, and it took almost 6 turns in order to recover and keep that lead here as they go down now into turn 1, and Zach Burke gets caught behind one of those slower cars, and let's take a look here. We're going to jump back a little bit further in the field. This is once again the battle for 4th with Chad Griffith and Miles Crab as they come through. And look at this Drift King Miles Crab coming through the carousel. Unfortunately, cannot hold on to that onto the back of Griffith there, and Griffith now has cemented his 4th place position here in Spec Racer Ford. As we jump back to our leaders now, just about 3 minutes left to go, heading down, under braking now into turn 4 over by China Beach, and popping up over the curb at the apex just a little bit is Zach Burke, and he's going to once again have to follow Caleb Patry over the top of Madness and into the S's.
Yeah, Patry just putting on a really stellar performance here, trying to hold off the hard charge and Zach Burke, and Zach is right on that bumper of Patry going around here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Course. And this is, we saw it a couple weeks ago, Greg. I can't believe I'm surprised, but always great racing with these SRF cars.
Yeah, certainly. And in watching this, I mean, there are a couple corners here where I will see Caleb Patry, maybe he will put a wheel wrong. He'll miss an apex by a couple feet, but because of the way Mid-Ohio twists and turns, it really doesn't hurt him all that much. He may lose a little bit of ultimate speed, but it doesn't put Zach Burke in a position where he can make a pass, because as quickly as the track turns one way, it switches back the other way, and there's just nowhere for Zach Burke to go. But now as they come down into the keyhole, Burke shows the nose going down into turn number 2 here. The keyhole gets back in line. I think he realized that as he made up the ground under the draft, Avery, that perhaps he was a little bit too close to the entrance of the keyhole, that he just, he's going to probably end up going door to door with our leader now as they come down into turn 4 again. And now as they go down the back straight here and heading towards turn 4, Zach Burke, he has position on Patry going in the 4, and he now takes the lead. We have a new leader in Spec Racer Ford, and it is the number 13 car of Zach Burke.
Yeah, Burke put on a stellar move through turn 4. I think he kind of saw a move kind of like that just a couple laps ago when Patry pulled it on him. So, hey, good move by him. Got about 45 seconds left in the race, so we're going to most likely see the white flag this time by. I think these cars are quick enough to get to the start-finish line before the timer runs out.
Yeah, and as they come now through Thunder Valley and set up for the carousel, they should very easily be able to cross the start-finish line. So we are now finishing lap 12 for what should be a 13-lap race. Our leaders now come through onto the front straight for the for the second to last time, I guess they're coming onto the front straight. The next time they do come by, they will see the checkered flag now as Zach Burke in the number 13 car. He is your leader. Caleb Patry now, who had led most of the way, he is in second, and you'll see he pokes out now, and if Burke manages to hold him off here into the keyhole, that's really going to impact the exit speed for Patry, as he has to go the long way around, and we'll see now as he doesn't drop a wheel there, but it might impact his ability to make a run as they come down the back straight here. What you'll find is that Burke is going to want to protect the inside as they go down to turn 4, and you can see where Burke took away the apex at the kink here, and we'll see. Patry looks like he's got a good run, though. Can he get far enough ahead going into turn 4 to get the pass done? They're side by side coming through turn 4, and now taking the lead just when he needs it as they cross the top of Madness is Caleb Patry. Patry defending as they cross over the top of Madness, really didn't give Burke anywhere to go. Can't carry the speed as they come now down through the S's, Avery, and as they come through turn 9 and into Thunder Valley for the very last time, Caleb Patry makes the pass when he needs to.
Yeah, Patry knew what he had to do, had to get a great run into turn number 4, and Burke tried taking it away, but it's not over yet. I mean, Burke definitely has an opportunity here. We'll see if he's going to be able to make a move.
Yeah, we got 2 corners left as they come through the carousel for the very last time. We've got turn 13 and then the very, very short run over to the start-finish line. Not enough time for Zach Burke, and taking the win in Spec Racer Ford for the second week in a row is Caleb Patry. Zach Burke is going to finish second. Crossing the line now in third is Steve Ray. So Ray finished second at Road Atlanta. He will finish third here at Mid-Ohio. And now the battle that we had been watching. This is the battle for fourth with Miles Crabb and Chad Griffith. Miles Crabb taking the first step off of the podium to finish his fourth. Chad Griffith will finish in fifth. Then Saurabh Pradham and Jeff Miner should be crossing the stripe now. And Greg Mack, who finished in fifth on at Road Atlanta, will come home in eighth this week.
I want to just a big shout out to Greg Mack. Had that spin early in this race and worked his way all the way back to eighth place, and only losing 2 spots from his grid. Like, he just that just shows a lot of talent, and is able to recoup from that spin. Because sometimes when you get a spin, Greg, you really just kind of, your mind starts to race, and then you start to make more mistakes. But not with Greg Mack. He pulled it up like 8th.
He really put his head down and started to work his way through the traffic. Setting fast qualifying times is one thing, but in these cars that are so closely matched, to be able to work his way under race conditions back through the field like that, great run for Greg Mack. And looks like we've got the majority of the field making their way now around the course here. Again, Caleb Patry taking the win. And looks like, who do we have crossing the stripe there? Well, that is Zach Burke in the number 13 car, who finished in second. So great race in Spec Racer Ford. We'll see if we can get some of our podium finishes. Oh, there you go. Gotta wait until everybody crosses the checkered finish there, and looks like our winner Patry went for the ride. And it looks like we do have Caleb Patry waiting patiently. Let's see, Dennis, we want to bring him in now. All right, we have Caleb Patry for the second week in a row here on the Ray Esports Spring Tour, taking the win, first at Road Atlanta and this week now at Mid-Ohio. Congratulations, Caleb.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I guess first thing first, what was your strategy going into today's race?
Just kind of the same as usual. Try to get out front, run some clean laps, and at least try to pull away from the cars behind. That wasn't really easy today. Zach drove a really good race. He ran right behind me pretty much the whole time and kept on the pressure. So it wasn't easy, but I had fun.
There you go. So when with I guess 2 laps, actually 3 laps left to go, and Zach went from just putting on the pressure to actually pushing you and trying to take the lead there. What were you thinking as far as where you might get him back on course? Where did you think your car was maybe handling a little bit better than his?
I think we were pretty much even the whole way around. It looked like he made a few mistakes in places. I made a few mistakes, so I'd say we're pretty even. But in the early part of the race, I could see he was really getting runs down the back straight. And so when he had a run on me with a couple laps to go, I kind of figured I'd just let him go and try to follow him and try to make that pass where he tried to pass me. And thankfully, it worked out.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one place here at Mid-Ohio where the draft really works, and you can, as long as you leave the door open, that you can make a pass is over at turn 4, and you definitely, I guess turnabout's fair play and took him right back exactly where he had taken you the lap before. So Caleb, again, 2 race wins in a row, and obviously that's going to cement your lead at the top of the points battle here in Spec Racer Ford. Are we going to see you next week at Barber? Actually, yeah, we do have Spec Racer Ford at Barber next week.
Yep, well, you sure will.
Excellent. All right, so before we let you go, Caleb Patry, you have anybody you'd like to thank?
Sure. Once again, I'd like to thank Steve Ray for setting all this up, organizing it, and Race Voice for their support with this broadcast, and the SCCA for their continued support as well.
Excellent. All right, everybody. That was Caleb Patry, our winner here in Spec Racer Ford. Thanks so much for joining us, Caleb. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Speaking of Steve Ray, look who we got now.
And there we go. It is the Ray in Ray Esports. We've got Steve Ray joining us. Stevie, how you doing, man? Great run today.
Hey, Greg, man, what a fun night, huh?
Yeah, we had some great racing here, both in the Pro Mazda and obviously in Spec Racer Ford as well. 2 battles right down to the very last lap, to the very last corner, frankly, here at Mid-Ohio. And it looked like you had I don't want to call it uneventful, but you had a real strong run tonight in Spec Racer Ford.
It was uneventful. Their draft, it was just try to keep from making mistakes and I'm honest and hope they got to battling a little bit more than they did. But I had a bird's eye view and kind of watched it all along, and I could see it was going to be fun those last few corners.
Yeah, definitely. You had a great view of the battle there. Avery, do you have some questions for Steve?
Hey, Steve. First off, great run, and it's a great series. It's been always fun to watch and fun to call. From a guy who's done both races every night, how is it going from for the Pro Mazda to the Spec Racer Ford? I mean, how is it adjusting to a new car not even 5 minutes later?
Yeah, that was hard. The Spec Ford's kind of my specialty anyway, and I knew it was going to be tough. I was kidding with the guys that I was going to come into the Spec Ford and not even be able to keep it on track. And heard a few comments from guys that, hey, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. So it was.
And actually, I was going to say on the first lap, there were actually a lot of drivers who had issues keeping it on track for that first lap. That a lot of them didn't make it past turn 1, for that matter. So, yeah, so definitely good on you for running a clean race, without a doubt.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a good group of guys. I told them most of them have some form of relationship with SCCA or WRL or real world guys. So they kind of relate this racing more to real world. And that really makes this racing really good.
Yeah, and Avery, I'm sure you'll agree that as we've watched now for 3 weeks, that the level of sportsmanship and how clean the racing is. And I've heard this from a number of the drivers that are racing with us here on the Ray eSports Racing League, that the racing is very, very clean. And Ray, again, everybody that Ray is the one who's brought this league, right down to even how we do the points to give bonus points for clean racing, and with no incident points or just one incident point, really promotes that clean racing. And I think it really shows here. From week to week.
Yeah, other leagues that I've done, we kind of do the same thing. We incentivize the clean racing, and it helps. And Greg Hubler helped set all this up as well. He's done a lot of this, so props to him too.
Yeah, absolutely. Both behind the scenes, as I've seen both Steve and Greg try to organize all the cats. do all there we go. Avery, you asked if I was going to do any talk about any sheep this week, and as they do the sheep herding.
Oh boy.
It definitely could be a challenge, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes in order to put on these races. And Steve, definitely want to thank you and all the work that you do and Greg do to put on these great events.
It's my pleasure. It's what I enjoy, and I tell the guys too. The league's nothing without the guys on track every week too. So it takes all of them.
There we go. All right, so there you have it. You have Steve Ray finishing 3rd tonight in Spec Racer Ford, and that should keep him in. I believe that will keep him in 2nd place in the point standings in Spec Racer Ford as well. Dennis, can we still throw up the final finishing order here in Spec Racer Ford? I figure we'll go down that real quick here, just to show everybody where we finished up with Caleb Patry, Zach Burke, Steve Ray, as we've mentioned, your top 3. Then Miles Crabb, Chad Griffith, Siraj Pradhan, Jeff Miner, Greg Mack, Jeff Tattershaw, and Bryce Evans, rounding out the top 10. Again, this race in Spec Racer Ford brought to you by RaceVoice. You can you can take a look at the great products they sell at www.racevoice.com. And of course, although they were not sponsoring directly one of the races tonight, they typically sponsor our MX5 cars. Driver61 at driver61.com, providing driver coaching for sim racing, and they are another great sponsor of the Ray eSports Racing League, so you should definitely check them out. And of course, they will be sponsoring that MX5 race next week at Barber Motorsports Park. And next Tuesday, we are going to have once again the Spec Racer Fords, and then we'll have the Mazda MX5s from Barber again at 8:40 Tuesday evening next week. That is February 9th. So Avery, please don't tell me we've got somebody else in the interview booth that you're going to drop in at the very last second, because we've done that 2 weeks in a row.
We don't have anybody last second in the booth coming to get interviewed. So I won't do that to you this week, but I can't promise you about next week. So
there you go. I guess, gosh, one of these days I just want to get through the close here without having to do it a second time. Everybody, I want to thank Avery McDonald, who's joined me here in the announce booth all night long. Dennis Branch from Apex Racing TV behind all the controls. Thank you once again, Dennis, for the great broadcast that you produce each week. And Again, I'm Greg Ginsberg. We'll join you next week for round number 4 of the Ray Esports Racing League from Barber. That is, again, Mazda MX-5 and Spec Racer Ford. We'll see you at 8:40 on Tuesday, February 9th. Good night, everybody.